Now, we are exactly 1 year away from the US presidential election. And as campaigning starts in full swing, this is also the perfect time to take a stock. Now, how are candidates doing? Are their election strategies working? And most importantly, what are the voters saying? To answer these questions, the New York Times and the Siena College conducted a poll. We will bring you the details shortly, but let's just say a rough road awaits incumbent Joe Biden. Before we get you the numbers, let's look at the states that are seen as battlegrounds. Now, these states, Wisconsin, Nevada, Arizona, Michigan, Pennsylvania and Georgia, these 6 states are also known as swing states, which basically means that these states could end up being the game changer, which is why the numbers we are going to show now matter the most. We are looking at Joe Biden and Donald Trump, who are likely going to be the last men standing from both the red and the blue camps. Now, let's start with Arizona. Joe Biden is at 44%. And Donald Trump sits at 49%. Now, then in Georgia, the Democrat frontrunner is at 43% and Donald Trump is at 49%. Then in Michigan, Joe Biden is again at 43% and Trump sits at 48%. In Nevada, the gap was the widest. Biden is at 41%, Donald Trump is at 52%. That's 11 percentage point of difference. Now, in Pennsylvania, the polls show a 4 percentage gap, with Trump leading again with 48%. And lastly, Wisconsin. It is the only state where Joe Biden maintains a lead, but it is just a slim 2 percentage points between 47% and 45%. So it might be too soon to celebrate that for the Joe Biden camp. Now, this means that Trump is leading in 5 of the 6 swing states. These numbers mean that 2024 elections could be a rerun of the 2020 polls. It's highly likely that Joe Biden and Donald Trump will face each other yet again. And the one sitting inside the White House seems to be losing ground. The poll has got a lot of people talking within the blue camp. This is on top of some members who do not think that Biden can lead the Democrats to a win in the 2024 presidential elections. Now, the latest to join the club is former President Barack Obama's senior advisor, David Axelrod. Talking about the latest polls, Axelrod says, and I'm quoting him here from the post he made on the platform X, "This will send tremors of doubt through the party, not bedwetting, but legitimate concerns." He goes on to say Joe Biden needs to decide whether running for presidency is wise, whether it's in his interest or the country's interest. Now, remember, Biden has a year to turn the situation around, and political landscape are subject to change. Experts say the poll survey results do not mean a doomsday scenario for the Democratic Party. But this is definitely a report card, and a good one, for the Republicans. Whatever Donald Trump is doing is working, even if that is going around the country and testifying in his legal cases. Now, to decode this further and the American politics, we are being joined by Ray Locker. He is a senior journalist and author from Washington, D.C. Welcome to the broadcast, Ray.
Thanks.
It's good to see you. I want to straight up ask you, why are Americans so upset with the sitting U.S. president?
Well, there's a feeling that the economy isn't going well. I think that's erroneous, but there is that feeling. A lot of people are upset about inflation, gas prices. A lot of things cost more than they did when Trump was president, in part because the economy slowed so much during 2020. But there's just a general unease with what's happening with Biden. And then you add, the wars in Ukraine and the Middle East, and a lot of challenges for the incumbent president.
Right, Lay, what do you think Joe Biden should do in the next 1 year to actually change this around?
Well, look, in 2011, Barack Obama in one poll was behind, and somebody said he had a 17% chance of getting reelected. He won by 4 percentage points with 51% of the vote. So polls at this time in an election cycle are often misleading. You know, they're not a predictor, they're a snapshot. I think the economy will continue to get better. So I think that helps an incumbent president. Trump is going to testify today in one court case. He has 3 other ones that he has to weather. He has people who are still challenging him for the Republican nomination. A lot can change. You look at the 2008 election, you know, that was very close between Obama and John McCain until about mid-September when the economy really slowed down and McCain didn't react as well as Obama did and people's attitudes changed. So a lot can happen. But one thing that's not going to change is Joe Biden is not going to get any younger. He's going to be 81 years old. And I mean, people are worried about that. That's something that he has to deal with. I mean, he's going to have to continue to show that he's vibrant and vigorous. And, you know, Donald Trump isn't younger either. He's 77. So, you know, he's got a lot of challenges that way himself, but people see Biden as being older.
Right. Ray, since you spoke about Donald J. Trump, I want to give you a sense of how people are seeing American politics at the moment from at least the outside. You know, Donald Trump we see as someone who became the first former U.S. president in history to face federal criminal indictment. Since then, he has faced 91 felony charges in 4 different jurisdictions. In fact, as we speak, former President Donald Trump is either testifying or going to testify in a civil fraud case in New York. But then the poll numbers we are looking at is just rising. What are we exactly missing out here?
You know, he has a base of support that is pretty firm in the mid 40% range, 45, 46%. Remember, he never has received the majority of the popular vote in his 2 presidential elections. I think these polls show the high watermark for him in most of these states. You know, people respond to him for a variety of reasons. He's got a solid base of white voter support, which is the majority, the vast majority of his support. And, you know, I think it's a change, it reflects a change in the attitudes of white Americans in terms of race, in terms of other elements, feeling like they're left behind. And he plays to that. And so that, I think, is a fundamental part of what's going on. There is still the very strong perception that he is a great businessman. I don't think the facts bear that out, but people believe that. And so when they look toward the economy, they think he's a guy who can make that work for them and for the rest of the country. I also don't agree with that perception, but it exists, and people who believe that way are going to vote, you know, according to their beliefs. And I think that's the fundamental part of his support.
All right, Ray, thank you so much for decoding American politics for us, and thank you for joining us here on WION.
You're welcome. Thanks.